Hello and welcome everyone to another Kaapana tutorial video. My name is Kaushal Parekh. I am a research software engineer at the Cancer Research Center, the German Cancer Research Center, and I'm also part of the Kaapana development team. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can deploy the Kaapana platform. But before you jump on to deploying the Kaapana platform, you need to answer a few questions. So, firstly, Kaapana, since you already probably know, is a microservices-based, has a microservices-based architecture, and it requires you to have containers which are already pre-built and charts which are already pre-built and pushed to a repository in order for you to deploy the Kaapana platform. So the question you need to ask is, if you have a private container registry, or if you have a tarball which consists of all of the containers so that you can deploy the Kaapana platform. If the answer to the question of whether you have a private container registry is yes, then you need to ask the next question. Have you already built all of the containers? Have you already built Kaapana and pushed to your private registry? If your answer is yes, then we can proceed to the deployment of Kaapana platform. Else, you would first have to go and build Kaapana. And if your answers have been yes, so that means if you have Kaapana already built and pushed to a private container registry, then we can proceed now to the deployment. In my case, I already have Kaapana built and pushed to my own private registry. The two main steps that are involved in the process of deployment of Kaapana are mainly installation of the server dependencies on the instance wherever you are going to install Kaapana, and then the platform deployment itself, where the chart of the platform will be pulled from a registry or from a locally available tar file, and the platform will be deployed. After which, all of the containers from the remote registry will be pulled and the pods will be deployed. And you will have then a running Kubernetes cluster with the Kaapana platform. So let's dive right into the first step of the procedure to deploy Kaapana, which is the server installation. What you see in front of me is the documentation page of Kaapana, where each and every step is pretty clearly defined. But the goal of today's video is to give you a practical walkthrough through all of the steps that have been described in the documentation. So the very first step is to check if you have the minimum requirements on your system so that Kaapana platform can be deployed. It has certain requirements, such as the minimum OS should be either 20.04 or 22.04, Ubuntu, which is currently being supported, minimum 8 core CPUs, 64 plus GBs of RAM. Better would be to have 128 GB and more. And the storage should be at least 200 GB, which is recommended. And then you also need to have, of course, a registry, a container registry with all of the containers that have been already built and pushed there, as already previously mentioned. And you need to also note that the platform uses the HTTPS protocol, and all requests coming to the HTTP protocol will be forwarded or redirected to the HTTPS port, the 443. And then it also uses a DMZ protocol for sending DICOM images to the platform. You also need to make sure, if you're behind a proxy in your institution, that the proxy has been correctly set up in the etc environment file. And then you can also check if you need to configure a custom DNS. Um, and this can also be easily set up by editing the DNS variable in the server installation script. In my case, this is not needed. And if you don't set it manually, for example, like in my case, then the DNS will be configured according to the system information. And then finally, you have to move on to the actual installation of the server dependencies. So basically, the server dependencies or the server installation script is doing nothing but installing some packages, and mainly it's setting up the micro Kubernetes, which is required for Kaapana, and is also setting up the Helm installation. If you need GPU support, you also need to make sure that NVIDIA SMI command is running at first, and all of the dependencies related to the NVIDIA GPU are already available, are already there. And once you have made sure about all of this, then you need to move on to the server installation script itself, which is a shell script. If you don't already have cloned Kaapana locally, then what you can do is you can go to the GitHub link of Kaapana, which is available on the documentation, and you can just copy the contents of the server installation script from that link, and then you can paste it locally onto your own instance. Like I have done, if you see on the right-hand side of the screen, like I have done, I have copied all of the contents of the server installation script, and I have pasted it here and onto my VS Code editor. And here I also have the integrated command line interface of VS Code. So after I have copied the contents of the server installation script, I just need to make it executable, because otherwise you won't be able to run it or execute it. So let me execute the chmod command, which will give executable permissions to the server installation script. And then after that, I simply execute the server installation script. Of course, using the root or sudo user. So now I've triggered the installation. It takes some time before everything has been installed. There's a nice progress bar that you will see, which takes you through all of the installation or the packages that are being installed. And once the installation is completed, we will then make a reboot. So the server installation script just finished, and you can see that the installation was successful. So now what you can do is you can either make a reboot of the system, or you can just run new group micro Kubernetes for the changes to take effect. Just for the safe side, to be sure, I make a reboot. My system is rebooted now successfully. And now there's another thing what we need to do. Since I have GPU enabled in my system, let's check it once again. I have NVIDIA SMI. Yes, and this is running. So since I have the GPU, NVIDIA GPU installed and all of the drivers installed, I would like to enable the GPU also for micro Kubernetes and this can be done via our installation script, server installation script quite easily. You just run it alongside the option minus GPU, and it will ask you if you want to enable the GPU support, and then the magic happens. And yes, so the NVIDIA GPU is enabled. So now we have come to the end of the server installation. step. There is also a part how you can make uninstallation of the server dependencies using the same script, but I will take you through that later on. Now it's time to move on to the next step, which is the main one, which will allow you to deploy the platform in the end. But before you go on to deploying the platform, you need to make sure about a couple of things. There is a there's a concept about file system directories in Kaapana. There are two types of directories which we support: fast data directory and a slow data directory. In our case, in my case, I use the same directory for both, but how it is intended to be is the fast data directory is intended to be something that does not store a large amount of data, and the data that needs to be loaded faster. So typically it should be stored on an SSD, for example. And the slow data directory is mainly intended to store huge files, images, basically large objects. And this would preferably be an HDD storage location. And once you have made sure about that, and once you have decided which directories you choose, you have to get the deploy platform script or deployment script. And this script is normally automatically created when you build the Kaapana platform. In my case, I have already built my platform. Since I have already built my platform, I have also my script, which was automatically created. And it is created inside the build folder, Kaapana's build folder, and under the Kaapana admin chart. And it's called a deploy platform.sh. So it's a shell script in the end. Exactly. And the main parts of the of the deploy script that you have to pay attention to are in front of you here. On the left side, you mainly have to think about the container registry because, as I said, your containers need to already be, if you're doing a container-based, private registry-based installation, then your containers and charts need to be already built and pushed to your private registry. And you also need to specify the credentials of your private registry. And this is exactly what I've done here. For my private registry, I have set up the URL, and I've created a special access token for my tutorial, which would act as my credentials for the registry. These are the two main things. There are also other options which you can explore, but we won't go into that detail right now. Yeah, the next step is basically once you have the deployment script or the deploy platform script, you just make it executable and then you run it. So let's make it executable, similar to what we did for the server installation script. So we make it executable, and then what you simply do is that you just run the deployment script. And the first thing it will ask you for is the fully qualified domain name. This could be your IP address or your host name typically. In my case, it's the IP address, so I will just quickly give it. And then it will already use GPU because it has already found support for GPU. And once you see this green message, that's good news. So first, what you see here is that a chart, the Kaapana admin chart, has been pulled from the registry and has been downloaded. And then from that chart, you make a deployment. So the chart is deployed. And once the chart is deployed, it will pull all of the containers from the registry and all of the dependency charts. And in the end, all of these will be deployed as pods. How you can check if your platform is running or not is via the kubectl command line interface of micro Kubernetes. And this will show you the status of your pods, which can be running or initializing or still creating. So let me make this a little bit extended so that you can see what's going on. As you see here, these are different namespaces, names of pods, and their status. You only after all of the pods have been either running in are either in a running state or have been completed, that you can know that your platform has been successfully deployed. So we have to wait for all of these pods to go into either running state or completed state. And then we can finally log in to our platform, go to the dashboard or to go to the landing page and see what's going on in the platform then. Until then, we have to wait. So on the right side, now you see that all of the containers or all of the pods are in either running state or completed state. This is good news because this means that our platform has been finally deployed and we can go to the endpoint or go to the URL where our platform will show us the landing page. You will normally see this message about the connection not being private. I normally just proceed to the connection. And you have to enter the credentials which have been initially specified for you here once the platform is deployed successfully. So the credentials are Kaapana. So the platform is deployed and you are also successfully able to log into the platform. And now from here on, you can proceed with doing the rest of the stuff that you would do with Kaapana. Yes, so that was all about the deployment of Kaapana. As a bonus, I just also wanted to quickly show you how you can undeploy the platform using the same deploy platform script. So if you just run the deploy platform script, you will get three options as you see here to either undeploy and then redeploy or just undeploy or quit. So I will select undeploy. And this will trigger a process that will try to uninstall all of the charts, the Helm charts that have been deployed. This could take some while. Until then, we have to wait. So once all of the releases have been undeployed, so to speak, it also asks you if you want to remove all of your persistent volumes. In this case, I would just say yes. So all of the resources should be deleted. And then the undeployment is done. And finally, how you uninstall the platform or server installations or server dependencies is also pretty simple. You go back to the server installation page and just run the server installation script as it is shown here with the option for uninstallation. So minus uninstall. And this would trigger the uninstallation of Helm as well as the micro Kubernetes. We wait until the process is finished. So the uninstallation of the server dependencies has also been successfully completed. And that concludes my today's video about the deployment of the Kaapana platform, and as a bonus about the undeployment and uninstallation of the platform as well as the server dependencies. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for your attention and looking forward to the next one. Bye.